Happy New Year! Welcome to the new year. Today I am going to be sharing with you my favorite books of 2013. But before I do that, I just want to say a few words. At the beginning of 2013, I told myself that I was going to read more. So this year I read a total of 27 books, which doesn't sound like a lot, especially when you compare it to other booktubers. But I read 27 books, which is honestly a lot to me. I don't know the last time I read that many. But something else, obviously, because you're watching this, that I started doing was booktubing, which I figured would help me read more, and I was right. So there we go. So without further stalling and ado, let's get into my top, I think it's 6. I didn't do 13. My number 6 book for the year is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Lonnie Taylor. This book was so interesting and so different to me. This book is just like crazy, like this crazy fantasy world. Lonnie Taylor's a genius. I mean, gosh, how long did she sit around and think about this? Like, it's so elaborate and intense. You're just like, the Czech Republic or Prague and just chimeras and people and angels and what's going on? Like, what's happening? But it's amazing. I haven't read the sequel yet, but I'm going to. My number 5, which I just realized is kind of funny that it's number 5, is The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. Get it? 5, 5th. You understand. The Fifth Wave is the first book in a series, and I feel very important and very special because I got in on it before other people did, you know, the general world. So I felt pretty special about myself. I couldn't put it down. I read it during the summer booktubeathon, and even if it hadn't been booktubeathon, I probably would have done this. I sat and read like almost the entire book in one day. I just love the main character, Cassie. I thought it was a really interesting take on like an apocalypse, I guess. And it felt like it could happen. It felt like something, well, you know, it had aliens, but that's a whole nother discussion, views on aliens and things, but anyway, yeah, I like The Fifth Wave. My number 4, my number 3, I honestly could not decide which order to put them in, but then I finally decided my number 4 favorite was Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, and oh my gosh, I have not read a contemporary book that I liked this much in a very long time. I usually do not like the boy that is in the contemporary. I'm like, oh my gosh, get over it. But the boy in Fangirl, Levi, like, I liked Levi. He was an interesting cat. Fangirl is one of my favorite books of all time, and it's the first book I read of Rainbow Rowell's. If you have not read Rainbow Rowell at all, I would go do that. I actually related to the main character, which doesn't happen a lot. If you don't know, if Fangirl is about a girl and her twin sister who go to college, and it's like just about her like learning the ways of the college world and her coping. She writes fan fiction, and it's just, it rang so many bells for me, and it really just, it's a good book, and I think you should read it. It's my number 4, basically tied with number 3, which is the Darkest Minds series. Ruby is an amazing character, and I loved her friendship / relationship with Liam, who Liam is just like this wonderful character. Like, let's have more characters like Liam and Levi. Can we do that, please? Like, cause that's what I want in the world. Is that alright with you? It's one of those things where you just think about it, and you just think about it, and you just think about it, and you keep thinking about it, and you're like, oh my gosh, I need the 3rd one to come out, and I think it is this year, and I'm so excited. Oh, The Darkest Minds is an amazing series, and I read it. My number 2 favorite might have pulled ahead of the number 1 spot if it wasn't for a few factors. My number 2 favorite was the Dyer series. Dyer, still not sure how to say it. This series, it is unlike any other that I have read. It is that mix of like contemporary, sort of, but not really real world, like paranormal, but is it paranormal? Dyer is like an unreliable narrator, and you don't know if she's crazy or if she's really doing these things she thinks she's doing. Like, I seriously go back and forth throughout reading these. I'm like, is she crazy? Is she not crazy? Is all of this in her imagination, or is it real? Michelle Hodgkin. That girl, I am just convinced that everything she writes is probably golden, and it just smells like flowers. To pick a favorite in the series, I think I like the evolution of Dyer just a tiny, and a little bit more than The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer. So we've made it to the #1 spot, the top spot. Who won, you may ask? This might be a controversial #1 pick, but my #1 favorite book in 2013 was Allegiant by Veronica Roth. Lots of people had a lot of feelings and a lot of thoughts about the ending. This is a spoiler-free video, so I'm not going to go into that, but I thought the series ended beautifully, and although it crushed me to my core, I thought it was great. I thought Veronica Roth did a really good job. I appreciate her and her writing, and I still think she is an amazing writer, and I cannot wait for her to write a new book. Veronica, write a new book. I know it hasn't been that long, but like, girl, I believe in you. I think that even if you have never picked up Divergent and you've heard the ending of Allegiant, I think you should still read it. So that's my list. I want to do some honorable mentions though, because there were some that didn't really fit into favorite category, but that I really enjoyed. My first is, The Great Gatsby. I read it at the beginning of the year because the movie was coming out, and when your husband is the star of a movie, you need to refresh yourself so that you guys can have a conversation. That was me acknowledging my feelings towards Leonardo DiCaprio, my husband. I'm not married. But The Great Gatsby continues to be one of my favorite books of all time, and rereading it was really cool, especially with like a 5-year older than I once was when I read it before. Lens on life. Scott Fitzgerald, I wish you were still alive so you could write me more books. It's so sad. I don't want to talk about it. Another that I really enjoyed, that I don't think is like one of my favorite books, but that really made me laugh and think, was Tina Fey's autobiography, Bossy Pants. It's probably my favorite nonfiction book, like, ever. Tina Fey is hilarious, and she is the queen of comedy, so you should read Bossy Pants. It's hilarious. But yeah, I think that is the end of my list. Tell me what your favorite books were this past year. Tell me what you are looking forward to reading in the future coming year. How many books do you want to read this year if you're into goals and such like that. Anyway, yes, I'm gonna leave now, but I will see you very, very soon, and I hope that you are having a very happy new year, and I will see you later.